Let's see what we got here for today's mail. Bills. Hello, what's this? Dear Mr. Werezilla, we are pleased to inform you that we have accepted your offer to review the dumbest entry in the Harry Potter franchise. Life is good sometimes. Welcome to Werezilla's Retrospective. I'm your host, Werezilla, and if that intro wasn't a big enough hint, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Easily one of the biggest franchises in recent memory, Harry Potter started out as a book series by J.K. Rowling that kids attached to very quickly. And when the movies came out, the series exploded into the juggernaut it is today. I think the reason it's so successful is because Rowling realized something that a lot of imitators don't realize. When a series starts out for kids, the kids are going to get older, and as a result, the series has to get more mature and serious as time goes on. And really, that's a good reason why the series can go from this...
Get off me! Stop! Hold still!
...to this...
Avada Kedavra.
without it being really jarring. And of course, they had to make games based on the movies. However, the games had a rougher time than the books or movies did. Those are consistently good from start to finish, while the games have had more than a few slip-ups. Sometimes they're well-done action-adventure games, with a great variety of spells to use. Other times they're like today's game, the tie-in game for Deathly Hallows Part 1. I should just lock this game away in Gringotts' deepest, darkest vault so it doesn't hurt anyone ever again. But sometimes we must choose between what is right and what is easy. Let us begin here at Malfoy Manor, where Snape reveals to Lord Voldemort the Order's plans to move Harry away from the Dursleys, and where Voldemort reveals he has a laughable voice actor.
There have been too many mistakes where Harry Potter is concerned. Tonight, I will kill Harry Potter in person.
Yikes, this guy is trying a little too hard to replicate Ralph Fiennes' performance. Gameplay begins when Hagrid flies Harry to safety. They're swarmed by Death Eaters, Voldemort's followers, and suddenly this becomes a rail shooter as Harry just shoots out stupefy spells to knock them out. Of course, the camera slides around all the time, making it hard to aim properly. Voldemort eventually makes his presence known, and he's not any more dangerous than the other Death Eaters you've been shooting down throughout most of the level. The only difference being the level ends when you eventually cause enough damage to the Dark Lord. I gotta tell you though, the level transitions are jarring, cutting almost immediately from Harry and Hagrid crashing to Bill and Fleur's wedding. Harry, Ron, and Hermione eventually meet up with Ron's dad, who gives them things Dumbledore left behind for them in his will.
To you, Ron, he left his Deluminator. To Hermione, his copy of the Tales of Beedle the Bard. And to you, Harry, he left the snitch you caught in your first Quidditch match.
These items were an important plot point in the movie and book. They will not be in this game.
The Ministry has fallen. The Minister of Magic is dead. They are coming.
Gee, Kingsley, you think you could have warned us before the attack? Not as it's happening? Not that that voice actor actually sounded anything like Kingsley. Harry and company fight off the Death Eaters with Ron and Hermione whining they have to go the entire time. I would take this a little more seriously if the Death Eaters weren't dropping like flies. They eventually apparate away into London, and Ron gets suspicious of a few people on the street. So Harry uses an invisibility cloak to find out if they're Death Eaters. I really hate the invisibility cloak levels in this game, since Harry has a meter showing how long he can wear it, and touching someone will cause the cloak to fall off. Why can't Harry wear it for longer periods of time? Why does he have to hold it over his head like a kid pretending to be a ghost by covering themselves with a bedsheet instead of wearing a cloak like it's supposed to be worn? I'm just saying, this isn't how you wear a cloak. And yes, this complaint does apply to the movies as well. Of course, neither of the people Ron were suspicious of were Death Eaters. And just when the group thinks they're safe, they run into real Death Eaters at a cafe. So what did this level accomplish?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
The group escapes to Grimwald Place, the former headquarters of the Order of the Phoenix, and goddammit, pixies! Seriously, why does every single game after their introduction need to have pixies as an enemy? They're a pest! Nothing more! They run into the house elf creature, who, after some coaxing, reveals that one of the Horcruxes keeping Voldemort alive, specifically the Locket Horcrux, was actually taken from the house by Mundungus Fletcher. He and Dobby show up with Fletcher, who reveal who has the locket now.
This ministry egg made me sell it. Practically stole it, she did. Umbridge, I think her name was.
Oh goody, the ministry's biggest fangirl and the bitch that made Hogwarts a living hell for our heroes for an entire year. Why does it not surprise me she's settling into Voldemort's new regime almost immediately? Hermione decides they need to come up with a plan, and then the game actually stops for a trio of challenges, which are just more fights with Death Eaters to save Muggleborns on the run. These challenges contribute nothing to the plot and only serve to pad out the game's runtime. At one point you even come across a dragon's lair for no reason. Unless it's a purple dragon who fights bad guys, I'm not interested in your filler. The group decides to sneak into the ministry and get the locket from Umbridge, using Polyjuice Potion to disguise themselves as people who work there. But of course, Harry's Polyjuice Potion stops working almost immediately so it can have another invisibility cloak level. The last level is pointless, and here's a shocker, this one is too. Why? Well, you search all over the offices only to find Umbridge's in the courtrooms. You remember the scene in the movie where Umbridge is feeling high and mighty when Harry reveals himself, sending a spell up her ass? Yeah, this is nothing like that. Like with Voldemort at the beginning of the game, Umbridge just takes more damage than normal Death Eaters, apparating away and coming back for more punishment. Umbridge eventually goes down, and our heroes escape through waves of Death Eaters before showing up in a forest.
How do we know they won't find us here? Voldemort...
No, don't say it! I've heard someone in the ministry. They've made you-know-whose name taboo. If you say his name, they can find you.
Yeah, speaking of which, I've been saying his name all throughout the review, and the last time I called an enemy unthreatening, I had to blow up my basement. Probably not gonna happen again, though. And now it's time for the absolute worst level of the entire game, as one of the most blatant fillers a game could possibly have. The group over here, one of their schoolmates, Dean Thomas, so they run after him, only for hundreds of Death Eaters to get in the way, at an abandoned tower, in the woods, in a construction site, and wherever the hell these things are supposed to be. This level is, and I counted, a half hour to clear, and for what? So we can realize the Sword of Gryffindor can destroy Horcruxes, and for Ron to get pissy and leave Harry and Hermione? The scene had build-up in the book and movie. This game has padding. I'll let you decide which was better. And speaking of padding, it's time for more of those pointless challenges! With the padding done, Harry and Hermione head to Godric's Hollow to see if the sword is there. Cue more invisibility cloak use. Hooray! Harry finds his parents' grave and meets a friend of Dumbledore's, Bathilda Bagshot. And by Bathilda, I of course mean Voldemort's Snake Nagini. How many spells can a snake possibly withstand? And Harry is making a lot of noise, and Hermione's on the first floor. How does she not hear it? Well, she does eventually, and they get Harry out of there.
We've got no leads, which means we have to catch up.
I know, but... Harry, I've read the book Dumbledore left me 100 times. I've looked everywhere I can think of. I know there must be a clue somewhere, but... I'll look again. You make sure we're safe here. I'll look again.
Oh no. Don't you start up another set of challenges. You better not! So with that out of the way, Harry spots a Patronus in the shape of a doe, which he follows, finding a bunch of spiders along the way. To make a long story short, he follows it to a frozen lake where the Sword of Gryffindor is. He swims down to get it, but the Horcrux tries to drag him down and drown him. Thankfully, Ron shows up and saves Harry.
Are you mental? Why didn't you take this off?
Job I followed your Patronus? Why did you dive in there, you mental case?
You know, that's actually a very good question. The Horcrux comes alive, taunting Ron, while Harry does what he's done the entire game. Cast Stupefy at the snakes that come out of the Horcrux. Did they really need to make a fight out of this scene? Just have Ron destroy the Horcrux. It's not a difficult concept. See? The two return to Hermione, leaving an overly long trail of Death Eaters and spiders behind them. They notice a symbol on Hermione's book keeps turning up in their journey, so they head to Xenophilius Lovegood's home to figure out what it means. He explains it's the symbol of the Deathly Hallows. The scene they show is meant to replicate the one in the movie, but it just doesn't seem right to me. In the movie, that Tale of Three Brothers looked like it was done by Tim Burton. It looked great. Here it just looks like, well, an imitation. Xenophilius lets them know that Luna was captured by Death Eaters to keep his mouth shut, and name drops Voldemort, cueing more Death Eaters to show up. So you hold them off while Hermione tries to move some fallen debris so they can escape. But that doesn't really matter since the trio appaterate away anyway a few minutes later. But the fun doesn't stop there, as, wait for it, more Death Eaters show up. Again, so much tedium in one game, and that in the very next level, you do the exact same thing. Only this time you get captured. What, were 3 Death Eaters too much for the same group who fought off thousands over the course of the rest of the game? They're taken to Malfoy Manor, where Bellatrix Lestrange says,
I think Scabia has taken a liking to you. What say we let him have you?
Of course, Lestrange is giving off quite different vibes here in the game than she was in the movie. Dobby manages to get everyone, including the previously captured Luna, to safety, but not before Lestrange throws a knife at the poor house elf, mortally wounding him.
Such a beautiful night to be with friends. Dobby is happy to be with his friend, Harry Potter.
Yes, folks, we effortlessly dispatched hundreds of Death Eaters over the course of the game, and we lose Dobby for all our trouble. This game bothers me, and it feels like it's rubbed off on me since I've been saying the same thing over and over again, making me look as tedious as the game itself. It relies on using the same enemies over and over again, and even the levels repeat. The challenges I was talking about? The stages for them are either levels you already passed, or ones you will pass up shortly afterwards in the main story. Where's the variety? The Order of the Phoenix game was an open-ended game, and here I am in this one, backtracking while simultaneously going forward at the same time. How many games have you played where you've backtracked and still had fun at the same time? That doesn't count! The spellcasting in the game feels more like a third-person shooter than a Harry Potter game, which isn't nearly as cool a concept as it sounds. As far as the plot goes, it condenses a whole lot, making it feel like Harry Potter abridged. And that's a shame since most of the other games actually took the time to show things that the movies weren't able to, so it baffles me why this game couldn't. But of course, the gameplay even drags down the plot, as I barely felt any terror and feel any dread I should have by having a world controlled by Death Eaters, and then having them be defeated in droves. And that's this game's biggest problem. It's too repetitive, and it's too easy to beat enemies. Huh. You know, I was kind of expecting Death Eaters to have showed up by now. Oh well. I guess my luck's changing. Until next time, everybody.